You mentioned this rumour that enduro finishes at the end of 24 and we go e-bike only from 25. I heard a rumour that you'd started that rumour.
No, that is... Nah. No, I have nothing to do with that, and I don't think it's true. No, I definitely don't agree with cancelling the junior race because I think there's so much to gain. You know, you only have limited experience racing in the mud. Sometimes I like racing more than riding.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ed or Eddie, what do you want to be called this week?
You surprised me. Yeah.
Edward Masters.
Yeah. It goes Ed, Eddie, or Edward.
Okay.
Yeah, go by all three.
All right.
Edward to mum if I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I get Christopher when I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, mate. Eddie Masters, welcome back to the Downtime Podcast, mate. It's been a little while. I think we did one in person back in Innerleithen a couple of years ago. We've done one remote, maybe last off season. But how's life? You're good?
Yeah, man, good. Well, thanks for having me back. It's always an honour. This is one of the bigger bike podcasts out there, so it's always good to get the call up. So I'm honoured.
It's always a pleasure to have you, mate.
Yeah. No, things are good. Back in Fort William.
Yeah.
The sun is out. We've got what looks like a good week of racing coming up, and I'm just happy to be at the first World Cup.
Yeah.
So riding downhill this weekend, and looking forward to it.
Definitely, man. It'd be good to get going. I saw your social media. It looked like you were shooting rather large weaponry. Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
So last year, when as far as I understand, leading up to the end of the weekend, he needed a ride back to the airport, so he put it out on the socials, and this guy Leon gave him a ride to the airport, and they broed down for 3 hours or so. And Leon's got a young son who's a mountain bike fan, and Leon always volunteers at the World Cup.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out he runs this business called Roybridge Quads and Shooting, just past the Nevis Range.
Yeah.
And so he invited Wynn to stay there, and Wynn's kind of running his own program this year. So he's got a little team, 5 or 6 of them. And so they're staying there, and he invited us to come and do the shooting and quad experience, which I think we got definitely a not such a vanilla experience as you would get as a paying customer.
Yeah, okay.
We were pretty much given free rein to just rally these quads, and we shot semi-automatic shotguns, 1944 308, I think. Semi-automatic 22. Like, it was awesome.
Jeez.
Yeah, and there was probably 10 of us, and we had a blast. So if you are up these ways, definitely give them a shout, because sometimes it's, unless you're into hiking and stuff, there's not Fort William's not like a bustling metropolis of activity apart from mountain biking and getting out in the outdoors, but that was a seriously fun activity.
Yeah, it looked good.
So yeah, look them up. And Leon's a legend. He's actually chaperoning for drug testing this weekend. So, yeah, hopefully I do well enough that I get to see him.
That's amazing. Yeah, mate, for sure. That's amazing. That's a quality experience. Was everyone okay? Everyone survived the quad bikes?
Yeah, Barney, our mechanic, he rolled one. Steph overheated one. Yeah, they were loving it though. They couldn't believe that we were like kids. We just were doing donuts in the mud, like covered in shit.
Yeah, because it was wet yesterday, hey?
Yeah, it was. It was awesome. So. Yeah, we're like Bernard's just flat out with work at the moment, as you can imagine, wearing as many hats as he does. So he missed out, and we got back, and he was gutted, because I was like, I don't want to, I hate to say it, but it was that good. He's like, don't.
Class.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, let's wind it back a bit. You started off last season healthy, I think, and we kicked off enduro in your neck of the world, I guess.
Yeah, it was sick. 2 rounds in Tasmania. And yeah, it started well with 2 top 10s. I was stoked. And then we came overseas, and then at the 3rd round of the enduro, I clipped a bar on like one of the later stages in finale and broke. It's called your coracoid process.
Okay.
And it's basically a small bone that looks like your thumb that sits below your humerus and in your shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's basically a junction for all the nerves
Okay.
and everything. So like everything attaches to it. So it doesn't actually have a structural purpose apart from being like a fixing point.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite common to break when you have a car crash with the seatbelt.
Yeah.
It's basically from just this, like a really hard impact. So I broke that, which was annoying because the way the season was structured, we were in two distinctive blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So with not needing surgery or anything, I just had to take 6 weeks off to let it heal.
Yeah.
But that meant I missed the first whole block of the season, which was a shame. So I was kind of like, could be worse. But you it kind of it sucks because you feel like you all of a sudden feel like useless because you're paid to be a bike racer, and if you're not racing bikes, but then like we don't have the novelty of being able to go home.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't go home during the season anyway because we would be heading into winter. I've only spent one winter at home when COVID was on, and I rode my bike about 3 times. And it made me hate it because the trails were like frozen, rolled slow, bike was cold. You'd have like I'd climb in ski gloves and then like take them off and stuff them down my chamois to go down. So I just became a ski bum. Yeah. So I know like going home's not really an option if you want to stay on top of things bike wise. But yeah, so that was a shame. So then I just kind of, basically it feels like the whole last year I was a mountain bike super fan. At all the races but not racing. So
yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, you'd started well, right? 2 top 10s, and it's sharp, the top end of enduro these days.
Yeah, you're really pushing. The weight of expectation on yourself is sometimes hard because I always expect to be in the top 10, and nowadays things are like it's getting tricky. You've got to push. So like it's always nice to meet your own expectations, and then so that's like the baseline, and then anything above that I'm like pretty happy with. But sometimes the expectations, like leading into this year, I'm just we're starting, it's maybe a slow burn.
The bar's lower.
Yeah, well, just you've got to like manage that expectation, and like if you haven't had the ideal prep, like nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah,
and like people will be like, "Oh, I'm feeling so good," but like behind the scenes, there's always that little voice in the back of your head. So for me, starting the season, I'm just happy to be out there doing it, and I know, just with the like experience and stuff, that with bike time and confidence grows, and as it grows the results start to come. So I guess that's one of the good things about getting a bit older in the tooth, longer in the tooth, is that like how the little intricacies of like the mental side of things works.
There's a temptation, I guess, to rush back to the speed that you feel that you have, and then you risk injury again, I guess.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not the speed that you have. It's like you've always got that speed, but you like, you feel like you have to go faster than what the speed you already have is.
Yeah, okay.
And it might be to prove it to yourself or to other people, or just the fact that you just want like that. What would it be called? Like, just like the confidence,
the validation.
The validation. That's the word I was looking for.
The
validation that you still got it. So yeah, it's a tricky place to be in, but like, it's bike racing. Everyone's been there. They'd be lying to you if they hadn't.
And you got back from that injury for, was it Crankworks, like mid-season?
Yeah. So I went as soon as that 6 weeks came up. Like I was trying to maybe get back for Canazay. And then this kind of just goes straight back into what we were saying, is like, like you're just in your head, you're like wanting to rush back, but like you're rushing back for one race with then a 6 week gap following that. So I was like, no, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Because you're taking, if it was the end of the season, maybe, but not middle of the season. So I flew straight to Canada, and then I just got back on the bike, and I was able to get a good block of training. And Crankworks is kind of a perfect event to go to and just do, like, because you get to do a lot of riding.
Yeah.
Even an event like dual slalom is like perfect because it's like you're going and sessioning. You're just going over and over on the same 20-second course, and it's just that muscle memory starts to come back. So Crankworx was good just to go and just do a shitload of bike time.
Yeah.
And then I came back for Fort William for World Champs, which luckily it was cool that the New Zealand selectors like put me in the team because they didn't need to. But Lockie Stevens McNabb, he'd hurt himself, and I was the reserve, so they were like bumped me in there. So I was kind of stoked and appreciative of that.
Yeah.
Because I always like racing here. And then came back here and just kind of hit the ground running, seeded 17th. So I was like, sick. That's like, it's kind of all the pieces of the puzzle coming back together.
Yeah.
And it, like what we were saying before, it's like, yeah, you've done the lead up, and then it starts to come back.
It's like a pat on the back, I guess.
And then we had pretty diabolical weather for finals. I remember being in the start gate, and one of my good friends, Steph, he's our road manager, and so last year was his first like time on the circuit, and we were at the top of the hill, and he's like kind of got his raincoat around my goggles, and like, because it becomes that's when it really becomes a team event.
Yeah.
Like when the conditions start going otherwise. You've got your mechanic there, and then everyone's like, you're basically like all huddled in the start gate, and like it's so cold, so the jacket comes off with 10 seconds to go, goggles go on, and the rain's just coming in like completely horizontally. But yeah, so I just watched the front in the woods and just slid out like a lot of people did. But it was cool, and it was a good confidence boost just to be back, especially racing downhill. Like we're saying the level was high in enduro. Well, it's as high, if not higher, in downhill. Like you're playing with nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it makes it harder to juggle the two nowadays.
Yeah, you need more bike time, eh?
Yeah, and just I don't know whether it's just a mental thing, but when you see the Brunies, the big teams, everyone, they're putting in so much testing, and like I think of it all as just these tiny marginal gains.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, and even Bernard's just he's sharpening the pencil way sharper than we've been racing together, and we used to go like toe to toe, like quite right on there, but then you just see that it's slightly pulling away, and I think it's all that work behind the scenes paying off.
Yeah.
So it does make it a bit trickier, but I love it. It's like I've never. I think downhill is always going to be the most pure form of bike racing, because you get, it used to be one run. We were going to get to this at some point.
We'll go there at some point.
Yeah. It used to be one run, but like I still look at it as one run.
Yeah.
Lay it all on the line, and you don't get that feeling anywhere else.
Yeah.
So
super cool.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, nice. So we went from World Champs to Valnord, I think, which was a bit of a insane weekend with everything that got thrown at everyone.
Yeah.
What was it like to be involved in that event?
It was good. The year before, I really liked the track.
Mm-hmm.
So I was confident going in there, and it's always like Valnord or Andorra is such a cool place just to ride bikes and hang out. And then, they had some pretty crazy weather.
It looked scary. Like watching the footage, the start gate at the top of the hill can't have been a nice place to be.
Me and Dean Lucas were at the top, and like, we were just kind of joking around, but the tent was literally about to fly away. It's like the scene out of Wizard of Oz.
It's exposed up there, right?
Yeah. You're right on the peak.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. But it's just cool back racing. I really enjoy racing when it's super dry. Some people don't like it, but I think maybe it lends itself to like hanging it out a bit more. And it's just such a good track. So yeah, made it into qualies there, and it was a good weekend. Yeah, I was stoked.
And then on to a bit more enduro in Loudenvielle.
Yeah.
New venue for down, or not for enduro? You'd been there before?
Yeah, we'd been there before. The year we went there in 22, and I didn't gel super well with the course, but I think I'd had a pretty rough weekend before, and I just, confidence wasn't soaring at an all-time high, and it was the last race of the season. I'd kind of like the season had relatively just wrapped up with the overalls and stuff, so you basically finished the race and you kind of sat where you sat. But Loudenville's quite tricky, like with the dirt. It's it's quite slick and hard pack, fair bit of rock. So like, yeah, I just felt like I struggled a bit there. So I wasn't stoked on when I saw the course was pretty much a carbon copy of the one before. I was like, oh no, sketchy goat track.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. And then just the nightmare of 2023 continued, and on the first stage, it was so it's quite bizarre because in practice, I always try and do like a full run, if I can. Quite often than not, you can't. You make a mistake and you have to stop, or there'll be too many line options and you just need to have a look at it. But I always like to try and just like bomb through. And so I was bombing through, and I just saw this like a little rocky outcrop, and I just like jumped across them, and then washed the front on a route and went down, like super chill crash.
Yeah.
Pushed around, and then so I gathered myself and basically walked down like 3 meters to like a little bus stop where I could regather myself. And so on that same spot in the race, I nailed the little rocky bit, but because I hadn't, where I'd pushed down to over that 3 meters, there was quite a big rock on the inside of the corner.
Yeah.
And so having not ridden that in practice, when I jumped in and like railed the corner, I fully smashed my hand on the inside of the rock because I hadn't known it was so like pronounced, and like really hit it. Yeah, it wasn't like a bar clip; it was a punch.
Yeah,
and yeah, got back on. Bars were a bit twisted. Continued riding, but I had a feeling something was up, and then got to the bottom. Cole was there, and I was like, "Oh, I'll get my glove off." Hand was looking pretty mangled, but I kind of knew something. It was not just superficial, but with how the year had gone leading up to that point, I was in denial.
Yeah,
I was in denial. I knew deep down that maybe that was like. Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this. I'm going to like carry on. I'm just going to finish the race. And the weekend before, or like at the last race, Waxer had won Canazay and Morgan had got second. If I'd just been on the start line and finished the race, then we would have won the teams overall for that week. And I was like, I've still got a role to play. Like we're a team, so I'm going to try and finish the race. So got the tape out, and we just like taped my hand to the bar, and carried on for one more stage. And I was like, oh yeah, this is all good. I can ride. Still managed to get mid 40s or something on the stage. So I was like, if I can just do that every stage, I'll probably be in the 30s.
Yeah.
And went back to the pits to get some food, iced it, like retaped it, went back up. But by that time, it had been about an hour and a half, and then dropped in on the next stage, and I was like, this is kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wasn't, shouldn't have been on track. You shouldn't have been on track, and you're just going to hurt yourself, and then that's when like things become pretty dumb.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a sketchy stage. So I actually just like rolled down it real slowly and just like cleaned all the massive baby head rocks off it.
Nice. Track sweeper.
Yeah. I was full sweeper. Went to hospital and I'd shattered my 5th metacarpal, which is your pinky, into fire. Like it was smashed.
You'd blown it up, basically.
Yeah. And I was kind of hoping deep down that it had just been my pinky, but it was definite surgery. So I went to Morgan, being the legend that she is. She arranged for me to go to see a surgeon in Annecy, and it was one of those kind of hospital experiences where you get the X-rays and then the doctor comes in and they go, "Oh,
Like,
oof," and then blah, blah, blah in French, and I'm like, "Oh, this isn't good." Then another guy comes in, they go, "Oh,
man.
yeah," and your like heart's just like, "Come on, can you just be like, yeah, like give me something to work with here." Oof is not good.
It's not helpful, is it?
Yeah,
It's good having Morgan there, though, I guess, to translate and deal with that side of things.
yeah. She was giving me the the lowdown, and it wasn't ideal. She's like, "Oh, they're saying it's really hard. This is going to be hard to fix." But thankfully, they, what are we? We're probably about 8 months down the track now.
Yeah.
They did an amazing job. Everyone who's looked at it in New Zealand has been like, "Wow, the surgeon who did this," because initially my finger was basically fused like that.
Whoa. Like fully bent up. Yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't straighten it like that at all. And they were like, "We're just going to have to see what we can get here."
Yeah.
So I was already thinking plan B. I knew Ryan Pinkerton breaks with his middle finger. So I was like, well, if this is how it is, I'll just learn to break with my middle finger. Like, improvise, adapt, overcome. It wasn't like, I was already thinking.
You were back on the bike in your head.
Yeah, we can deal with this. But thankfully, like, it took a lot of work, and like, it doesn't look nice.
Okay. Doesn't straighten, right?
No, that's it.
Yeah.
But it works.
Will it get any better from now, or is it?
Yeah, I think it just slowly improves.
Yeah.
One of the weird things, so they put all these pins in it, and then when I got home, I had to get these pins taken out. But it had actually healed like quicker than expected, and the bone had healed over the top of the pins.
Oh, no way.
So then they had to go in and like chisel the bone off the top of the pin to pull the pins out.
Oh man!
And then that caused like, it's just like a lot of trauma for like a small area. So like you get a lot of blood, and blood forms like scar tissue, and so like why it looks so like funny is because it's like got so much scar tissue in there.
So that'll break down over time to some extent, I guess.
I think it just slowly gets better. Like I can almost see a knuckle.
There you go. And on the improvise, adapt, overcome program, you fitted an extra grip on the end of your bar and like to get a bigger diameter, right?
Yeah. So just to start with, because I couldn't like completely wrap my finger around, so I just would chop up like a Renthal grip and slide it over the top. So like on the I'd have about 15 mils of like quite wide grip on the end, but it like worked. And then I just slowly brought that down. And now I've actually gone down I was running thick death grips last year, and now I'm running thin ones because I feel like I can like wrap the finger around for a better grip. So yeah, like I said, nothing's ever perfect, but you just got to deal with the cards you dealt. Yeah.
Do you find, because in my head I'd be like, I don't think I'm doing anything with my little finger when I'm riding. Like, do I need it? But clearly you do, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably the most, because it's like your claw.
I guess, is that where your bar grip's coming from?
Yeah. And it's slowly coming back where like I don't have a callus. Like it's starting to get a callus where it's like that side.
Yeah.
So like, but I just like look at everything as like a little gain. Yeah.
Oh man, you've had a fair few injuries like over the last
I know.
few years.
Like you just become that guy, but it's what it is, I guess. Yeah, it kind of sucks. You feel like sometimes you're like, leave me alone.
Come on.
Yeah.
Do you ever like? Does it play on your mind? Do you ever think like, should I step away from this? I guess it's a question of what. Like, this is your life, right? You've done it for so long, and you live it and breathe it.
Yeah, and I feel I've still got I feel like you're still making gains. So yeah, you always do think like that, but and it's not something I don't want to be Greg Minnaar. Definitely not. But yeah, it's something that you always dreamed of, and I would like to while I still feel like you've got something to give, you may as well give it, because otherwise, when you do choose to step away, you can't cut. There's no coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sometimes I like racing more than riding.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because of the scene, or like the pressure, or what is it that gets you going?
I think the pressure of the race situation means that you can go to a place that you wouldn't be comfortable going to in general riding.
Yeah.
And some people are comfortable going just free riding like hell for leather.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel, I'm never willing to go that fast unless there's something on the line.
Fair play.
And I really I've learnt to enjoy the feelings of it.
So you get a buzz from that, like discomfort almost.
Yeah. Which is cool. And I think that's like a sign that you're still keen.
Yeah. If you're willing to put yourself there, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Well,
and maybe that's why, maybe sometimes you go over the limit, but, yeah. And that's why like downhill racing's so sick, is because for that one run, you will just YOLO the section.
The dice get rolled a bit.
Yeah. And everyone rolls the dice, no matter whether they look like it or not.
Yeah.
When Bruni's winning a race, there's no winning a race without rolling the dice in some regard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why I think, So I really like being at the races, because you get to watch some sick runs, especially now.
Yeah. So wild.
Yeah. Last year there's 7 winners.
Yeah. It was a very good season.
Yeah.
Well, let's come back to that Loudenvielle event then. So you're injured, you were on the ground there, and it was the weekend that junior racing was cancelled because of conditions or access on track or whatever. And there was a lot, or it certainly felt like there was a lot of bad feeling towards the organisation at the time. Like, given time and perspective now, like, how do you feel about those decisions and what went on that weekend?
Yeah, I don't agree with the cancelling of the junior race.
Okay.
The conditions weren't ideal, and yes, the juniors were struggling, but our juniors were getting got full runs in. So you don't cancel the race. It's not, if you come to a World Cup race and you can't finish the track, well, they don't cancel it for the rest of the field.
Yeah.
So it's tough love. But then they got the track running within a few hours. So you'd have to talk, I wouldn't have enough information on what led to those decisions.
Yeah, there was talk about whether it was like the safety of the track itself or the safety of like all the B zones and the extraction routes. Like, if someone did get hurt, was it acceptable at that point to be able to get them off the hill in an easy way?
Yeah.
And whether that got worked on or...
The hill there is so steep. I remember walking down when finals was on, and we couldn't see anything. We couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
You just see glimpses of riders going through the trees. So extraction on that hill would basically, there's like one road halfway. There's 2 roads that basically intercept in thirds down the hill.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it would probably be helicopter.
Okay, fair play.
So, no, I definitely don't agree with cancelling the junior race, because I think there's so much to gain. You only have limited experience racing in the mud.
Yeah.
But racing when like ruts get super deep, you don't get that anywhere except at a World Cup.
Yeah, true.
I've never, until I started racing in Europe and racing internationally, I'd never ridden like ruts.
Yeah, fair play.
I don't come from a motocross background, and each of those, any opportunity to race like that is a learning curve.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to goggle prep.
Yeah.
We're telling our guys, you guys need to make roll-offs. They're like, what? Roll-offs?
How do these work?
You're like, trust me, like, you need roll-offs.
Yeah.
If it's raining, you're going to want to run roll-offs. There's a reason why. There's a reason why everyone has roll-offs when it's raining. Like, tear-offs, they just not quite work. They don't quite work. So, like, all that kind of stuff is a learning experience, which you would like, and we can help, and then they can take that through.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, and it definitely didn't help the organisation with public relations.
There was a lot of bad press throughout the season for various things, I guess, especially in that mid-season with like the Andorra schedule changes and then that. So, yeah, I don't relish their job for sure. Let's talk a bit about the state of the racing and everything. I mean, you're clearly a massive fan as well as a rider. I think when we sat down in Innerleithen, you sent out like a survey monkey around all the enduro riders looking at like what does everyone want enduro to be, because it feels like it's almost always been in a constant state of change and flux as it works out what it is. And it felt like in 23 it started really well. Like Medina and Derby were hyped. There was pretty good coverage. The vibe sounded really good. And then that really seemed to start to change as it moved into Europe.
Yeah. It's definitely... Yeah, it's tricky. Like, it's definitely like the way I see it. It's the ugly duckling at the moment.
That's a shame.
Yeah, which is a huge shame, because when you're at the race, the racing is like top notch.
Yeah, it's next level.
It's next level. It's competitive. There's new guys coming in. Just the level is super high, but no one can see it.
Yeah.
No one can watch it. And then the negative press that comes around that, it kind of like keeps like pushing it down.
Yeah.
When really we want to be building it up. And yeah, I don't know how do you solve it? And it's got to come from the top.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, it's definitely, it feels like it's getting pushed to the side.
Yeah.
Which is a huge shame.
Yeah. Do you feel like as a rider it's kind of impacted your value? Like, I feel like enduro riders, unless they're, and which you've done and Jack's done, unless they've been pushing hard on like the YouTube side or the social media side, they're like, I don't know if you counted their impressions across all the media from 22 and then 23, it feels like 23 was quite a lot lower, because you've got these joint events and downhill and cross country, these like halo events that get a lot of the media attention, and enduro as a result was getting less. Like, does that put you in a tricky place?
Yeah, it does, because you're in that unknown. Like, if enduro ends next year, then I'm like, if it just stops at the end of this year, I can go and race downhill and stuff, but I don't really know, like, I wouldn't know how that situation navigates itself. You would try and put together something that provides the most value with what you can do. But yeah, there's definitely a big element of unknown in that, which I've seen, countless riders go through this year, and they're not here.
Yeah, which is a massive shame.
Yeah, like one of my good friends, Cole, like the year before he was top 10 at every race, and then didn't have the best year last year, and then Ibis, the team he's riding for, like, folded.
Yeah.
Well, not like, you don't call it folded, but like disbanded.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's just been realistic. It's like there's an oversupply of riders, and it just trickles down the pecking order, and you've got like really good guys who are out of a job. So Cole's like, yeah, I've just, maybe this is where I look to what comes next.
Yeah.
which is a massive shame.
It is.
And if that had been 2020, 19, 21, the story would be completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, doing the riders can, you can only bring in at least like doing the vlogs and stuff. It puts eyeballs on the sport
Massively.
and it means that core fans can follow it.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps. So the more like that riders can do, at least keeps giving it some traction.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm definitely not seeing much investment when it comes from the top.
Yeah.
In terms of media and from what it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's very hard to send a guy with an iPhone to the end of the stage and be like, Jesse, you're currently winning the stage, but you've just taken a crash. Give me 20 seconds.
Yeah, and iPhones these days are so good that you can
follow the race.
Yeah,
because like it's a discipline that's hard to follow. But they were doing a hell of a lot better job.
Well, Rick was doing that, right?
Yeah.
They was going to the bottom of the stages,
there was definitely a heyday.
Yeah,
and I always like speculate. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened without COVID.
Yeah,
because the 2020 season was shit hot. We had 2 rounds in South America, round in America, a round in Canada, 4 rounds in Europe. Like it was a World Series, more so than any of the other World Cups.
Yeah.
And it was like that the year before, and so it would, speculating, I think it would have, it was really on, getting a lot of traction. And I remember you'd be at the downhill race and guys would be like, oh, which one's a good one? Which one should I come back? Which one should I come and race? And nowadays, anyone want to come to an enduro cricket?
It's going the other way, right? I've seen Jack and Richie both on downhill bikes. Like, do we know if we're going to see them at any races?
No, I don't think Jack's planning on racing.
Okay.
I don't think he's planning on racing, but like you'd have to get that from him.
Yeah.
I think Richie's planning on doing a few.
Nice.
But like those two, they started out downhillers, and there's so much value in riding a downhill bike.
Yeah.
Just for speed training, and safety.
Yeah.
Way safer rallying a downhill bike on a fast track than it is a trail bike.
Yeah, you've got a bit more suspension to get you out of trouble.
You can go just as fast on the trail bike, but eventually it's going to bite back.
Do you think we'll see more riders cross over from enduro to downhill?
I don't know. I'd love to see Jesse. Jesse has he lays it out.
Yeah,
he hangs
wild.
He hangs it out. I'd love to see Jesse come and race a World Cup.
Yeah.
Or race a few. Because sometimes it takes a little while. But anyone who's riding at the top has the skills.
Yeah.
And you get so much bike time. You've got good fitness, and you pick up speed really quick. So you might get 5 runs here. So, but when you're used to going quick on 2, it is actually super helpful. It always used to take me a while to build the speed, and I was kind of always envious of Danny and Bernard, who could really lay a fast time on 4th run, which is the first run of time training.
Yeah.
And I've always found that really impressive, and I think racing lots of enduro really helped me with that.
Yeah, because you've got to get fast quick.
Building track speed really quick. And I think, like I always say to the juniors, that's one skill that you really need to try and hone in. And the earlier you can work on that is better. Learning the track, being able to visualize it from track walk. Even I'll go and watch GoPros and stuff just to kind of get back in that visualization frame of mind leading, even now you're you find yourself running through the track
in your head. You're
because we're in the race week and I'm trying to, just
get in the zone,
getting in the zone.
Yeah. That's cool, man. You mentioned this rumor that, EWS EDR World Cup Enduro finishes at the end of 24 and we go e-bike only from 25. I heard a rumor that you'd started that rumor.
No, that is nah. No, I have nothing to do with that, and I don't think it's true.
No, I hope
think
not.
it's something that's been taken way out of context in general conversation. And I hope not. Yeah, I actually heard I heard there's plans in motion, like leading into like 27. So I don't think that's true, but it is kind of, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
And one thing I wish is, so if that's not true, can we just
confirm it?
Can we just go on record and say,
yeah?
I understand like people don't like addressing rumors because it starts a cycle of you've just constantly got to come out and say, but just this once, UCI MTB World Series, enduro is here to stay. Done, complete. See you later. Just go on the record, and because people's livelihoods are at stake. And that's why I find it a little bit frustrating, because it feels like you're not getting the support where just a little bit would help a lot.
It helps brands as well, right? Like if you were thinking about investing in a EDR team now, you'd be pretty nervous about it, right? But if someone said, well, EDR is definitely here till 27, here's what it's going to look like.
Yeah,
you'd be
I think the damage is already done. It's hard. In this game, it's a slow 2 steps forward, but it's a quick 4 steps back. So it's going to take a little bit of building to get back to where we were. But the sport itself has all the pieces of the puzzle.
100%.
They just need to be put back together.
Yeah.
And change is good sometimes, but it's also, don't change so much at once. Yeah.
It's been hectic, eh?
Yeah.
Well, and let's talk about downhill, because downhill had a massive change last year with the format and semis and all this sort of stuff getting introduced. I think there's been some good stuff in there, but there's definitely been some challenges, and we've seen some format changes for this year in that we still have semis, and I think the general vibe from the public and the riders is that we'd rather not. But at least we've moved it to the day before on quali day. So we do now come back to this like crescendo at the end of the race week, the finals day, the thing that we all get excited about. How are you feeling about the format going into 24?
Yeah, that part of it's good. That finals is on a finals day.
Yeah.
Not semi-finals and finals. 95% of the riders probably don't want semi-finals.
Yeah.
The fans don't want semi-finals. If you look at the pink bike state of the sport,
it's pretty clear, isn't it?
Yeah, it was all pretty cutthroat on the disagree.
Side of things. It was brutal.
Yeah.
But that's the pulse of at least the people that go on pink bike anyway. So
and I think that is probably pretty across the board for most bike fans, new ones, old ones. It's just too much racing. Yeah, I found myself watching. Often we would watch semi-finals and then go to the pits and watch finals on the screen.
Yeah,
and just sit on the couch because it's just too much.
It's too big a day. Yeah.
But and maybe that's is it ego and you don't want to accept that you're but and then sometimes it seems like there's a bit of wool being pulled over the eyes, and they're like, "Oh, this is actually, you don't understand. It's so good," and you're like, "Where?
Where's the data?" Yeah.
So I don't know, but it is cool that they've put finals back on finals day. It's cool that the juniors are racing on the day of the men's.
Yeah,
which I think's quite useful as well, because it makes the junior runs more relative to the elites.
Yeah, that's easy to compare times, and we got a bit of track degradation, but it's the same conditions generally.
But then you've only got 30 riders.
Yeah, true.
So the track degradation barely comes into it.
Yeah, okay.
I think the biggest thing is the tracks always run faster in the afternoon, just as when it's on dirt. You know, especially in the mountains, it's quite a dark, like the track will be dark, and then as it lightens up,
it dries out a bit.
And that's free time.
Yeah.
Same run, you might go 2 seconds quicker.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool, because like the talent coming out of the junior category.
Mate, it's insane, eh?
Yeah. It's a good time to be in the twilight of your career, not
not on the way up. There's a lot of riders that are going to be very quickly threatening elites, I think.
Yeah. And it's I call it like the YouTube generation, and it's these kids have, you can go to Leogang and know the track before you've even been there.
Yeah, so much footage available.
You know how Troy Brosnan tucks. What's efficient? You know that Dak Norden can rip the motorway. He's always traditionally one of the fastest on the motorway at Fort William, and you can study it. How did he do it?
Yeah.
Did he pedal? Was he like half tuck, half pedal?
Yeah.
Where you could know everything coming into a race, and it means all that experience that you would otherwise had to have garnered over years of going there and doing it in person, you can kind of do it virtually before you even arrive.
It's crazy, eh?
Yeah.
And Asa visited last year. He was in Leogang on track, like getting familiar with what's going on and how the weekend works. And like there's a lot of thought, I think, going into some of these young juniors about how they get ready to perform on that big stage, like straight away.
Yeah. I think the tricky thing is that, getting back to managing expectation, is that as a 16-year-old, it would be hard not to expect that that's what people want from you.
Yeah.
Because Jackson's kind of been the first one, and then following that, Ryan Pinkerton. These guys are doing, top 5 elite times in junior, and people have done that before. Bruni podiumed as a junior, Troy Brosnan podiumed as a junior.
Yeah.
For the stars, that happens.
Yeah.
But if you're coming 10th in junior, it's like it'd be kind of you'd be disillusioned that you're not going to make it. And you've still got, you could be fast at 25 and have a flourishing career. But now the expectation is that you're fast at 18.
You might get flushed out of the sport too soon, maybe.
Yeah, or you flush yourself out.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you pull the chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get signed up as a team. That's why I think it'd be, well, it's never going to be easy, but like if juniors get signed into first year elite, then it takes a bit of that pressure off.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 2 young guys, and they're kind of like racing for, like, it'd be hard not to think of it that you're racing for a spot on the like factory team.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas like if you already had that, then maybe you can like work on your craft with a bit less pressure. But it's downhill's a pressure game, so maybe maybe you just, if you can handle it, then it's for you. If you can't,
yeah. And there is a lot of pressure on the shoulders for sure.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, and so it'd be interesting to see how like Asa goes.
Yeah, Tyler Waite, is it from New Zealand as well?
Tyler Waite. Yeah. There's a young guy, Ollie Clark. There's the 2. I think they might even be twins that are on Common Style.
Yeah, there's.
I guarantee it. There's going to be 5 guys we don't even know.
Yeah. And some super fast Kiwi elite junior women as well, right?
Yeah.
Ellie Husenbosch, and I'm probably butchering the name, but
yeah. We'll take it at that.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah. Like Eris, she's world champ last year.
Yeah.
Sasha Ernest, Poppy
Lane.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interest. Like the Kiwi girls are killing it.
Yeah, definitely, man. And you spent a lot of time trackside last season for Ed Bull Media House. Big contract there that you've got to create content trackside. Did you learn a lot being trackside at all those races?
Yeah, but like it's true. Like you don't, people will often stop and ask me for a line, but like when you're filming, you don't see anything.
Okay.
You don't have any. You're not looking at it.
You're watching your phone screen rather than
you're not
your
like
cam.
Yeah, you're not like being analytical.
Okay.
And you can't see what you need to see.
Yeah.
So you can just, you can provide feedback on what you think is good, but like, I'm not, I'm never able to be like, oh, this is the one, because like you're just being like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you learn a lot, and definitely get a lot of FOMO.
I bet, yeah.
And sometimes it's really boring.
Okay.
Yeah, like sometimes, that's why like junior practice is that's one of the things I'm gutted about, is that they've taken out Wednesday junior practice.
You can't go and watch that lot get loose.
Yeah, Because the elites these days are so good. They're so calculated. They slowly build into the pace. And then when they are hitting the lines, it's not like you're not on the ragged edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ronan Dunn, he's always good to watch. There's a select few.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a long day of, I take my hat off to guys who are full-time media guys because it's a big shift. Yeah. Long down the coalface.
It is, for sure.
Especially if there's midges.
Yeah. Apparently they're not out yet, which is very good.
Yeah. I really hope so.
Yeah. So could you see like what differentiates, let's say, a top 10 guy from everyone else when you're trackside? Because as an amateur, I find it hard sometimes to separate like on-track performance when I'm there watching. Can you see what they're doing that elevates them into that space?
Yeah, well, that's just so the top 10 guys are so consistently fast down the whole track. And everyone's quick to focus on a technical section, but like the 90% of a track might be easier.
Okay.
And like you're better off focusing on going fast where it's super safe. And I think that's where, Fort William's is a perfect example. You race to the woods, and then everyone gets through the woods, and then you race from the road gap down.
Yeah.
Because for that 20 seconds in the woods, the risk to reward is too small that everyone like backs it off. And I think that kind of portrays like how the top guys would race as well. Is like they're super fast, just everywhere.
Yeah.
But like maybe not where it's like gnarly as.
Like a damage limitation through the woods. Yeah. But often that's where you see a lot of like line people and riders spending time is in that wood section trying to like puzzle through it.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the only spots where there are lines.
Okay.
Yeah. There's not many lines on Fort Bill as a track.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the woods.
Are the lines more like up and down versus left and right, if that makes sense? Like it's about where your wheels are contacting or not contacting rather than whether you're in a foot left or a foot right, or?
Yeah. So like when you first go to Fort William, if you listen to your bike, it's like ga 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 ga, but you want to get it to pitter patter.
Okay.
Yeah, and that when you're going fast, it's like,
yeah,
and I think that's like one of the keys is getting up to like a speed where you're getting like the pitter patter and you're not hitting the rocks, you're like just like floating over them. And then the lines, like a Fort William line would be left or right of a rock.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're kind of just dodging a little minefield of little boulders. Yeah. But it's not, it's a rough and it's a long track, but it's not rough like you're doing max bench. Yeah. And that's having a super balanced bike is really important because that's where like the pitter patter, you can just kind of float on it.
Yeah, you're not seesawing.
Sam Hill style.
Yeah.
Where your body just doesn't move. The head never moves.
That's
and the bike just goes like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got a new bike this season?
Yeah. 2 chains.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I'm sure people saw it on the internet.
Yeah. Seen it. Looks good.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah, stoked. I've been I didn't have the best off season. Like just the nightmare continued a little bit. So I haven't had heaps of time on it, nor have I had heaps of time on the downhill bike. But yeah, it's pretty sick. It's cool. It's like, it's a real race bike. Just looking at it. Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, it looks special, hey?
Yeah. And it works amazing. Yeah. While it looks really like technical, everything kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Does it unlock a lot more speed, do you think?
So like the way I describe it is, the bike, our previous Phoenix, which still,
it's a good bike. Yeah.
It's a great bike. Bernie rode it to a top 5 overall. Yeah. Multiple podiums. It's like on paper, it's it's a really successful bike. Yeah. So there's nothing to say you can't like that. But I think downhill racing is evolving in the sense that you might want a bit more suspension performance and you give up a little bit of pedaling.
Okay. Yeah.
and that's kind of what our new bike has evolved into.
Yeah.
Nowadays the tracks are like straighter, faster. Once you're up to speed, you're not max power pedaling.
Yeah, you're not on the
you're
gas.
like maintenance pedaling.
Yeah.
And so you'll take that pedaling efficiency and put it into suspension performance.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of where they've gone with the new bike.
Okay.
And it's just kind of keeping up with the times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because our old bike pedaled, and it was amazing at what like the input you put into it. And I think the new one is a bit more around what the terrain is putting into the bike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you do anything to like make your two bikes feel similar? Because you need to be fast on both. Whereas if you're just focusing on downhill or just on enduro, you can just focus on being fast on one bike. Like, how do you think about being able to switch between two different rigs?
I kind of do. I'd like to have them feel similar. But then, when everything's when you're fit and healthy, I actually like ride my downhill bike a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't really don't struggle too much going back and forth. I know Matt doesn't like it.
Uh-huh.
Like he's like always feels a lot more comfortable on his enduro bike.
Okay. Fair.
And I guess doing a lot of laps and riding in the park a lot in the off season, and then just riding during the year.
Yeah.
Or it's just one of those things that like I just feel kind of okay just jumping on it. Yeah. And nowadays I like run my bars thin, it's smaller on my enduro bike. And
okay. So you've got a wider bar on the downhill bike.
Yeah.
What are your two widths?
750 on the enduro bike and 770 on the downhill bike.
Quite a difference then.
Yeah, and I used to run 770 on the enduro bike, but
yeah. Now you've smashed your knuckle into a rock, you're like, okay.
Yeah, and just like when you go to like the Tweed Valley and places like that, the 20 mil makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
Just on feeling comfortable rallying past trees.
100%.
Yeah.
Will you have handguards on your bike this year, or do you not think that would have saved you?
No, I've got that. I'm keen to like get something, but handguards only work on the, like it would bend in.
Yeah.
It needs to be on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's those little knuckle protector things.
I've got one of those.
Yeah.
But it needs to be a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Custom.
Or you just basically put a handguard on the other side and then file it down. You basically just want like a little nub.
Yeah.
So that it's going to take some impact. So we'll work on something.
Nice. There you go. There's your future product, mate.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I'll be gutted to sell it to people.
It's not the most glamorous thing, is it?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it sucks if they would want them to buy it because it means they've had problems.
Yeah. Fair play.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Hardline. You were on the entry list, but ended up spectating and creating video.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious decision based on like risk, or was there injury playing into it? Or
no, it was a unconscious decision because leading into the week before, about 4 or 5 days before flying out, riding in the park, I was just punching heaps of downhill at that time, getting ready for Hardline, and then I just washed the front and knocked myself out.
Oh man,
quite majorly.
Okay.
And yeah, so I was like unconscious for like over a minute, which was pretty hectic.
Yeah.
So definitely wasn't on the.
It's not the best. The best rehab, is it? Flying down Hardline.
No. So yeah, there's enough data out there to know that you don't mess around with head injuries.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is a real shame because I was like super fired up for Hardline. Well, not fired up, like I was just real keen.
Yeah.
Like I actually really, like people were like, oh, like, do you actually want to go there? And I was like, yeah, I do.
Track looked sick as well, to be fair.
The track looked amazing. They did such a good job.
Yeah.
It's funny. I noticed they got like a little bit of hate. Like, people were like, oh, easy line and stuff because the internet wants death.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Fails.
Yeah, they want, No one saw Dave McMillan's crash, but shit, that was huge.
So did he case the big jump at the bottom? Is that what happened to him?
Yeah, but the big jump was 30 foot longer.
30 foot longer.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
Yeah. It was.
So that was a heavy case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He basically front wheel into the backside on 100 foot.
Man.
Yeah.
So that was femur and other bits and pieces, right?
Femur, multiple facial fractures.
How's he doing?
He's killing it.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good.
He's gone. He's smashed the recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which is super motivating for him because it's, he was in he had to fly home in a wheelchair, all that stuff. And then he's just been like kicking goals.
Fair
which
play.
is sick.
Good. Yeah. Because it's only maybe 3 months since that crash? Not long.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah, him and Bernie went over and tested it, and them testing it got it to what it was.
Yeah, yeah. Which was a really good product. I think it was great to watch.
Bernie jumped the road gap first time, and he knew the landing wasn't steep enough, but to prove a point, he was game enough to send the road gap. And
fair play.
Obviously hard landing, but like bent both his pedals down. It was that hard, so.
Man,
but then that's why I wouldn't be game. I'm game to ride hardline, but not game to guinea pig anymore.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, but that's how you get it to like a good polished thing.
Yeah,
and then big up like Louise and all the girls who sent it. Like it is a gnarly course.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, anyone who thought it like looked tame. It wasn't, by no means.
How does it compare to the Welsh one? Because you've been there, right?
Yeah, I think Wales just has sketchier conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Medina was an amazing. Like if you took out all the jumps, it was an amazing downhill track, world class.
Yeah,
it was rough, loamy, rocky, high speed. Everyone was loving it. It was that people were just loving doing laps. Which is pretty sick. When I don't know if people were loving doing laps in Wales.
yeah. It's a different riding in Wales is often survival, right?
Yeah, you're ticking boxes, and I think that's because of the conditions.
Yeah,
wind, slate, it's slippery.
It's so slippery, that place in the West.
And also, maybe like the perspective is different because of the trees.
Yeah,
okay. With Wales being just on a hillside, the features kind of stand out more.
Yeah.
Whereas in the forest, you don't get the perspective.
Yeah, it's hard to show how big they really are on camera because you can't get back.
Yeah. I saw some of the drop footage and stuff, and it doesn't look as big as it really is.
Yeah. Fair. Do you think we'll ever see a series like Hardline become a genuine contender to like World Cups?
Yeah, they were talking about it the other day, and everyone always goes with the cliche of downhill being F1.
Yeah,
but Hardline's Bernie made a good point that Hardline's probably closer to being F1 than downhill racing is because you're gonna have 20 riders.
Yeah,
and you're gonna
it's more elite in a way, isn't it?
So it's the next step up and being the elite, the premier. So yeah, I know there's talks of adding another stop so it becomes which would be sick. I love watching it. I know that I'm pretty sure the numbers check out for Hardline. So it's a pretty valuable commodity to Red Bull.
Yeah.
And people love watching it because it's easy. You know what it is. It's like time and big features, whereas like it's not judged.
Yeah. Compared to Rampage, do you think we'll see many of the big name riders go to the Wales event because it's sort of mid-season and high risk, and they're building some new stuff as well? I think.
Yeah.
From what I hear, pretty crazy new stuff as well.
Yeah. It's going XL, I've heard,
because it wasn't XL enough, right?
Yeah. G was like, well, they were talking about a jump. He's like, we want them to be on the limit.
Man.
Yeah.
They're bred differently.
I don't know. I don't think you'd see many top downhillers going.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a shame that Jackson got hurt in Medina because it kind of justifies anyone from management saying, oh, we don't want you to go. And then that happens because it kind of reinforces the idea that maybe it's not a good idea if you're being paid to like race World Cups going and doing that.
Yeah.
Because I think Bruni was quite gutted that he didn't go because he wanted to. It's like you're like showing a new page in the book.
Yeah.
So and all those guys, they'd be sweet. It's obviously scary, but it's like a healthy team building day of ticking off gnarly features.
Yeah.
There's no egos. It's, if you were struggling, I'd be like, Chris, I've hit it. Like, just follow me in.
Yeah.
And if you trust my judgment, and if I say no breaks from here, and you get that little bit of drag as well, it's like you'll be sweet. So and
I won't take you up on that offer though. Thanks, Eddie.
But like everyone works together.
Yeah, it's more collaborative than any other kind of racing, right?
Especially with the girls, there was like a lot of guys like jumping in and like wanting to lend a hand because no one wants to see anyone hurt. You're only the only time you're competing against each other is the one run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the internet that wants to see people get hurt.
Yeah, the internet wants gore. Yeah. They just want a highlight reel.
Oh man.
Yeah. But yeah, so it'd be cool to see. I mean, and then like riders like Finn and stuff. They'd be so good at it.
Yeah, it would be good to see more people there. Maybe if the scheduling works out and we get some more in the off season, then I guess Medina has that potential, right? Because it's the summer is in the right time there to put it as an off season event. But yeah, like you say, Jackson's injury is an easy argument for team management, but that could have happened anywhere, right? Like at that point in the season, everyone's getting up to.
Yeah, like
fast pace. He could have crashed his enduro.
He was riding in New Zealand, just rallying laps. Wash the front, like what happened to me. It's like you just
it happens. Right?
Yeah, easy crash but the consequences. It's like that's what happens when we're not riding on snow. You don't. It's not as soft.
Let's not even go there.
Let's not go there.
Let's not do snow biking. Yeah. All right, man. Well, what are your racing plans for this season then? So you're racing Fort William downhill. Like, where do we go? Are we focusing more on the EDR?
Yeah, so I'll do all the EDRs.
Yeah.
And then I'll try and do obviously Fort William this weekend. Val de Sol, Leger, Mont Saint Anne.
Oh, sweet.
And then wishful thinking, I'd like it would be cool if I could race world champs, but I think nowadays there's some really fast like talent coming through the Kiwi that I'd almost feel a little bit guilty if I'm not focusing on downhill completely, then I'd like someone else to like who is
fair play.
But I wouldn't say no.
I was going to say, if you genuinely earned that place, would you take it, right?
Or yeah, for sure. But like, I just think with the selection criteria and stuff, they're probably more likely to lean towards someone who's like entirely focused on downhill. But yeah, so do those 4 downhills, and then think we'll go to Whistler for Crankworks. We're trying to do another Dirt Diaries video.
Nice. Yeah, I saw you putting a shout out for people to help with that.
Yeah, so if anyone is a Whistler-based videographer, we're looking for someone to do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably go to the US Open before Mont Saint Anne.
Yeah, nice. I think a lot of people do that, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we love racing in America. I was in Sea Otter a week ago, and it was the first time I'd been there, but it was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. Americans just bring the hype.
Yeah, there's a good crowd vibe, eh?
I don't understand how this World Cup we race on, like, you've got to take the races to the fans.
Yeah, well, did you see the XC coverage from Brazil? Like, it was so deep trackside. Yeah. Like, it would be cool to have a downhill race out there.
Put a downhill race in Chile. Like, anyone who goes through their Instagram will tell you, like, Santiago and Chile are, like, right up there. We want to race. Yeah, we want to put the world back in World Cup.
Put the world back in World Cup.
Yeah.
I like it, man. Well, yeah. So what excites you as a fan coming into the season? What are you excited about seeing? Are there particular riders you've got an eye on? Are there sort of races that you're keen to get going, or?
I was really excited to see what Jackson was going to do, because as I've gotten to know Jackson more, I've become more and more of a fan. Just of like he's a cool dude.
Yeah, good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes. He's like into having fun, and he still acts like a 19-year-old. Like, he's not like trying to be something he's not.
Yeah.
And it's obviously working. And I love watching him ride. Like, his race runs look fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
On some of the gnarliest tracks in the world, Val de Sol and Mont Saint Anne, like, he made those look.
He's just kind of bouncing
like
down the track. Yeah. So, No, just really looking forward to it. Seeing, like, I really enjoy watching Armory's runs.
Yeah, it'd be good to have him back.
Because he kind of, he hangs it out, but he's so strong.
Mm-hmm.
But he like muscles his race runs, whereas other guys will finesse.
Yep.
Yeah, be interesting to see how Reece Wilson does this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's been putting out a lot of content that looks really good.
I mean, he's the king of like artful riding and line choice.
Yeah. And he's done really well here.
Yeah.
So be cool to see him get back going.
Definitely.
It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so wide open. Yeah, it's mental.
It's hard to know, isn't it? Like I've had this conversation with a few people like, oh, who's your money on? I'm like, I have no idea where to put money. Not yet. Maybe as the season starts to progress and you get a bit of an idea of form, but I feel like there's a very large number of people that could be leading the overall at some point this year.
I haven't made my fantasy team yet, but it's pretty tricky.
It is.
Yeah. Big fan of Ronan Dunn.
Yeah.
Just
and that Hardline run was pretty standout.
Yeah, just as a crowd favourite type. Yeah. And then that whole Mondraker team's a pretty stacked unit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing them on track.
Dak Norton's bars have gotten higher, so maybe he'll be like
Stack Norton's on the up.
Stack Norton, he's on the up. Like it looks like he's had a really good preseason. I was chatting to him. He seems like he's liking the bike.
Good. Yeah,
and then you've got the specialized outfit. It's we could just keep going. It sounds like we were talking about Supercross.
It's crazy, isn't it? And some big new setups. So the Mondi setup, I assume, will be big. I saw the Norco truck yesterday. Is pretty fancy.
Yeah, that'll be forgetting about Greg.
Yeah,
whole new setup. Obviously, with a bit of a point to prove. Not done yet.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. It's wide open. Be cool watching how the juniors go. Cammy's back. I mean, Cammy, Then Pom Pom's back. Yeah. Gracie looks like she was on top of things at Hardline.
Yep. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's good. We're in a good spot, man.
Should you?
Yeah. There's plenty for people to whinge about, but there's a lot to be excited about. So that's the good thing for me, I think.
Yeah, there's no shortage of loose units who are keen to lay it on the line, that's for sure.
Good stuff. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up, mate. If people want to follow your progress throughout the year, where should they be looking?
Instagram at Ed Masters, Ed Bull Media House on YouTube, and just here, there, and everywhere.
Nice one. Thanks, mate. I'll stick links to the show notes so people can find all that stuff. But Cheers. Good luck this weekend, and let's hope you stay fit and healthy throughout the year, mate. Yeah, I think things come in waves, so we're on the up. Good stuff. Cheers. Take care, mate. Thanks.